UFP, the United Federation of Podcasts.
Engage.
78 years have passed since the days of the original USS Enterprise. Now a new Galaxy starship has been designed.
Transporter Chief, beam our listeners aboard. Welcome to Galaxy Class, a Star Trek Next Generation podcast on the United Federation of Podcasts Network. I am your host, Amy Nelson, Counselor Amy Nelson. Let's not forget my title. And with me, we have Chief Recreational Officer Ria Papagiorgio. Rio.
Hi, Amy. How's it going today?
I'm doing great. Sort of spur of the moment. We're just getting on mic and going to talk about some season 4 stuff. So I'm excited.
That's right. And no boys today.
Yes, we do have to excuse our, what could we call Kevin? Our diplomatic standard bearer of happiness this season as he's out playing Santa Claus with his real beard. Looks so good.
Yeah, if you see any pictures on Facebook or wherever else people put pictures, oh my gosh, he looks amazing.
Yes. And it just looks like he's having a fun time spreading happiness. So that's good.
Yay.
And we are missing Joe. He's in a transporter beam.
Yeah.
He's got cost.
Exactly.
He's lost in there. We don't quite know where his home is, but
but I can't wait to see my new room, Joe.
Yes, my new room. Just so our new room.
Our new room. I know. Like triple bunk beds in there. You know what, Joe? I'll come over and build them. How about that?
There you go. Well, we don't have any comments from previous episodes, so we are going to jump right into our main discussion.
This is the captain. Senior officers will report to my ready room immediately.
Well, today, again, talking about Season 4 Quality Check. And what we do, listeners, is we say good things, talk about the highs of the lowest rated episodes for each season, and we are on Season 4. And it's just surprising to hear these titles that are considered low because I'm like, they're so good. So let me read you the top 10 lowest rated episodes for season 4. Starting at number 10 is Devil's Due. Which I'm surprised. Number 9, In Theory. Then we have Night Terrors, Galaxy's Child, Final Mission, Identity Crisis, Legacy, The Host, Suddenly Human, and the number 1 worst rated episode, which I have bones to pick about this, is The Loss.
Yeah, I thought of you when I saw that.
I love that episode. I can't believe it's like on IMDb, like the worst out of all of season 4.
Now, mind you,
I'm just shocked by that.
As the worst, it was rated at 6.0. And the 10th worst was 7.3. So we're not talking about, sub rosa level bad here. But yeah, I was surprised also to see, although The Lost, I don't love it as much as you because that's impossible. I was surprised to see that one where it was. And actually,
is there one of those episodes that you feel should be the absolute worst?
Let's see here. There's some that I don't love, like The Host. And part of that is just because, they introduced the Trill in that episode, but the Trill changed so much, in the Star Trek universe. But there are a few other things that I don't love about that episode. So I would say that one probably deserves to be there. But
for me, I think the worst one is Legacy. I just have a hard time with Tasha's sister. And that whole storyline.
I agree.
That one to me is the worst.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And another thing that's super surprising is there's actually a 3-way tie for 10th, rated at 7.3. So Devil's Due, which you already named, and Cupid, but half a life? Are you
Right?
kidding me?
Yeah.
That
How do
episode's
they have the
amazing.
same ratings?
I know. So,
Yeah.
I guess what the champion rule, where everyone's favorite episode is someone's least favorite, and vice versa.
Yeah.
I think that applies.
Absolutely. So we are going to choose an episode for each round and say some good things about it. So Ria, what is your first pick that you want to recognize the highs?
I think the one that I want to start with is Suddenly Human, which was rated second worst at 6.5. But I like this one. I enjoy this one. And there are a few things in there that I enjoy. One of them is it's fun to see Captain Picard kind of thrust into the role as a, foster parent to a teenage boy. And there are just some cute scenes, I think, when Picard, comes into his room and comes into his quarters and he hears, the noise, and it's Jono blasting the music, and he's built a hammock out of bed sheets and he's hanging from the ceiling, and just the different interactions between those two I really enjoy. And then, oh gosh, what's his name? Endar, Jono's adoptive Talarian father. I really enjoy that character a lot, just all around. I think he did a good job kind of portraying the cultural differences between Talarians and humans, and he was very protective of his son, and a very good father. And he was, willing to go to war. I mean, they both were willing to go to war over this one child. And then another thing I really love is at the end, Picard, as opposed to the hubris that he gets accused of in his later years, acts with utter humility and says, you know what, we were wrong. That we can't tear him away from his family. Crisis averted. So there's a lot about this episode that I like.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I recently watched this as well. And it is such an amazing episode. And like you said at the end, where Picard does what's best for the kid, not what's best for the Federation or the war, or are we going to start a war? We're not doing what's best for the grandparents, who's been missing their child. We're doing what's best for the child. And I think that is so awesome. I love that message. Actually, over on All Good Things, Pat and I did a comparison between this episode and the DS9 Cardassians, because we were talking about like children raised in different cultures. And that was a major difference, that in the DS9, they didn't take into account what the child needed. And they do in TNG. And I give them huge props for that, to, take care of the child's mental and physical well-being over anything else.
And I did listen to your discussion with Pat on All Good Things. So listeners, if you haven't listened to it yet, check it out. Yeah.
And another scene that I absolutely love, of course, is with Troy. And Picard calls her in and has this prepared speech. In case you didn't know, I'm not that good with kids. And like Troy's expression is like, oh, really? Like, I never knew. And she listens to him, all of his reasons why he shouldn't. And she's just like, yeah, you're the best person for the job, so get over it. And I absolutely love best counseling moment ever. So good.
That's like a customer service thing, that the customer's always right. Well, when the customer's wrong, you let the customer feel heard and then explain to the customer that, well, actually you're wrong and this is what's going to happen. Yeah, that's a great one. Yeah, and I was just thinking about what you said about that discussion that you and Pat had in All Good Things. And right in the Cardassian episode in Deep Space Nine, the child was a pawn, basically.
Yes.
But in this episode, right from the get-go too, Endar says, well, Jono has reached the age of consent, or whatever it's called, and he's let him make the decision. There were accusations, of child abuse, but that's not the actions of an abuser. there's no attempt to control and manipulate him, which actually there were on the Starfleet side of things. But Endar had enough respect and love for Jono to let him make the decision, put his trust in him, and Jono had to wrestle with what he wanted himself, and there were things that were enticing about going over to the dark side, going back to the Federation, like the banana split thing with Wesley.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
But yeah, I like I said, I'm kind of don't fully understand why this episode was rated so low, but I like it.
It is a really good. It pushes Picard's comfort level. We get some good counseling moments. We learn really about another culture quite a lot, like you said, with Endar and explaining those differences. And yeah, it's really good. I am surprised that it's number 2.
Yeah. And we never saw the Talarians again, but they were mentioned in a previous episode. And when I say I'm trying to remember which episode, I am looking it up on the internet. Heart of Glory.
Oh.
They're mentioned in the episode Heart of Glory. Yeah.
So that's right.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. They would be an interesting culture to see more of. So maybe Lower Decks.
I think it's like one of those that we're seeing now on Discovery with these planets who are no longer in the Federation. So they're just sort of their own. And we see that here. They're not part of the Federation. They're just sort of doing their own thing by themselves, living their lives, defending themselves because they've gotten in wars before. But I like that seeing cultures not inside the Federation because it builds the universe.
Yes. And that's another thing I like about this episode is some universe building. So,
yes.
Yay.
Okay, well, for my first pick, I am going to choose the host. I really do enjoy this episode. I think it's very groundbreaking. And now even in Discovery, we're talking about Trill. Like it started right here. So you have to give it props just for the mere fact that it started it all. The species started here.
Yeah.
Whether they successfully managed it, probably not. I would say DS9 did a far better job in building and, really exploring. But we do get the start right here. And I love Beverly in this episode. I can't help it. She's so enamored with him and it almost takes her by surprise, which I love that feeling, and we see her in the spa. Beverly never goes to the spa. Well, we don't see Deanna, but it seemed like Deanna knew a little bit more what was going on and she was surprised to see Beverly. Oh, is that the stringent wrap or whatever? I really also appreciated Jonathan Frakes' portrayal because I could really tell a difference between Riker and Odan.
Yes.
Like it was clear who was speaking. And even with the scenes with Beverly, you knew that was Odan. And the whole time I'm like, but that's Will Riker, but it's not. And so I was just super impressed with his acting there. And then really one thing that I noticed that I have never noticed before, and again, you just pick up new things every time. When Beverly was confiding in Troy in 10 Forward, and it was that moment where Deanna was going to give advice, and she gave the advice of you should go with it. And I'm thinking, this is Will Riker. You're willing to give up Will to make Beverly happy.
You're Imzadi.
Yeah. And it just sort of all came together, and yet she still did what was best for Beverly, her friend. And I was so taken back by that. I was like, yep, this is an amazing scene. What an amazing character and friendship that they have with each other.
Yes.
And that Deanna was willing to lose that.
That's that selflessness we talked about in at least part 2 of the Troy profile, which listeners, if you haven't listened to yet, was episode 17. Yeah. And, I was actually kind of surprised at first when you said, that you like this episode because it's one where, Riker is with someone, not Troy. But yeah, the fact that Deanna would basically give her consent.
Yes.
And I think at some level that was on Beverly's mind. Is like, Troy, this is your man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much going on in that episode. And, and then even with the, multiple genders and how Beverly deals with that. Obviously not the best. But just so many different levels that episode brings out in someone's personal feelings.
And that was one of the things that I liked about this episode was this was 1991, and it was groundbreaking at the time to even address, a same-sex relationship. But I think the way they addressed it holds up today, because Beverly basically said, "Hey, this, to Kareel, I think was her name, the female host, like, hey, you're not my type. I'm sorry, but I'm not into women, and also I'm a human, not a trill, and I just can't keep up with, the shuffling body thing." I mean, she struggled when the Odan symbiont went into Riker, so it wasn't just a male-female thing. It was I was in love with this guy, who's, and now he's in a different body. What did I love? Was it his eyes? Was it his hands? Was it, et cetera, et cetera. So those are kind of the things I liked about the episode. But this is one that I don't really like because I am not a romantic person at all. And this whole, we're in love right away, that stuff I never buy into it.
Well, one thing that I did appreciate was that he had been on the ship for a couple of weeks. So it's not your, boyfriend of the week or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was obviously, but they did at least try to put forth a little bit of backstory that he'd been on the ship for a while and, that they got comfortable. And it was interesting when you were saying like, yeah, is it Odan but I mean, part of the body, the host, is still mixed with the trill. So she could have loved the trill and the host, and now that the host is gone, that's a part of that person. So moving and changing it, like, well, how much did she love the host?
Right.
And how much does she love Odan?
And I think that's where English kind of fails us because there's just one word, love, that encompasses everything from, I love tacos to I would give my life for my child, so it's a wide range there. So yeah, how much of it is lust or physical attraction and how much is, love for the depth of the soul of this other being, which again, I think that's a really interesting part of this episode and something that Beverly had to wrestle with. Now, as for Odan himself, the original guy, I didn't like him. He's kind of smarmy and I don't know, full of himself.
He's hot. Oh my gosh.
I mean, if I had to choose between that Odan and Riker, the Riker chest hair, I can't believe how much of a 180 I've done on Riker because he used to creep me out. And now when I see, the Riker chest hair and that grin and like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, maybe I'm getting old.
All right, Ria, why don't you give us another pick?
Let's see here. You know what? I am going to go with In Theory. So I did rewatch this one again, and it's one of those that, like, at first, I was kind of like, whatever. But I think, I guess what I like about it is from my point of view, like, if I were to ever, get into any kind of relationship again, I want an android. I don't want feelings and emotions and, all that kind of stuff. Like, Data, I mean, he's a little pale for my type, but otherwise, yeah, that's the perfect man. But there was some other good stuff that came out of this. Of course, the meme of the officer that materialized in the floor that shouldn't make me giggle. That's horrifying. But I like that one. And my favorite part of this episode, though, is Data getting advice from different crew members.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I just love that. I just love that. Well, first of all, he goes to Guinan, and she's like, "Well, don't look at me," and he turns away. I like that one. Then he goes to LaForge, which why would you go to LaForge? But
his best friend.
yeah, his advice was ask somebody else for advice, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We went to Troy.
Did he
of
go
course.
to Worf?
Oh, yeah, he went to Worf. Klingons do not pursue relationships; they conquer that which they desire. Which I love anytime Worf talks about relationships, because I don't know, it's just funny. Kind of makes me think of Bortus and his partner on the Orville, but this is not an Orville podcast.
Oh, right.
Right, when he goes to Troy, I mean, she's straight up counseling him, which is funny. I love when he goes to Picard, and he does it right on the bridge in front of junior officers, and Picard tells him, "I would be delighted to offer any advice I can on understanding women. When I have some, I'll let you know."
Yep.
Which was funny.
Totally dismisses him.
Yeah. And actually, I believe this was the first episode that Patrick Stewart directed.
Oh.
Which was a lot of fun. And I think it was a great episode for him to direct. And Brent Spiner, of course, has so much range. And I thought Data was just hilarious as, with his romantic program. Again, if I had an android boyfriend, that romantic program would include so much cleaning. Yes. It would be awesome.
No, I love In Theory too. As you said, like the drive that Data goes to find, and what is it to have this relationship. And I love, again, his curiosity. We're still in season 4, still relatively new, and we're learning how to be human because of Data.
Mm-hmm.
And, that you can get into a relationship and you do make compromises. So you will change your programming. Well, maybe I leave my socks on the floor. Well, now I'm in a relationship. I'll pick them up. Like you are changing your programming to be with this person. Not that you're being something different or false. You are just changing your behavior in order to make a relationship work. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's just a wonderful message.
Yes.
For everyone.
Yeah, that's a great point too, because if you're not changing, you're stagnant. And if you're stagnant, you're dying. And, like when you and I are roommates in Joe's house, you better be picking up your socks, woman.
Oh, I will be.
when we're roommates on the cruise, probably won't be wearing socks. It'll be flip-flops and Hawaiian shorts. But
my bed will be made every day because they make it.
Oh, I thought you were going somewhere else. Which we won't go there, but
no.
Yeah. I think really the only thing I don't like about this episode is just Jenna DeSora just kind of comes across as a little, I don't know, ditzy.
I wonder if she was written that way because in contrast to Data, she is way overly emotional. Mm-hmm. And so I'm wondering if that was written purposefully to really highlight Data's machinery parts because she is then this ultra sensitive, emotional, So I'm wondering if they did that as a juxtaposition, but I do agree with you. She does get a little annoying and whatever she asks for, he does, but then she's still not happy about it.
Yeah.
And that annoys the crap out of me seeing that from a female character because that very often is just the go-to, especially in the 80s and 90s. This emotional, irrational,
can't please her. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, well, there's more to women than this.
Yes. I agree with that 100%. I hate that cliche. If I, again, had my android boyfriend who would do whatever I told him to, I would be thrilled. Thrilled. But she does have, they say opposites attract, and Jenna has a history of relationships with unemotional men. So maybe I imagine that they did it for that reason, to contrast with Data. But yeah.
Well, and I think it's a good learning point for people who relate with Jenna. That it's like you look at your past relationships and it's like, is there something that they all have in common? Oh, they're not emotionally available, as in Jenna's case. And it's like, oh, so then now maybe hopefully she can change what she's attracted to, right? And recognize, and so that she doesn't go down the same bad relationships again.
Yeah, it's a learning experience for her. And then, like you were saying earlier, not just recognize that she's attracted to unemotional men, but get with Troy and find out, why is she attracted to unemotional men? Is it because that gives her the license to be overly emotional? Why does she need to be overly emotional? Why does she always need to be dissatisfied by whatever her partner gives her? So I think that it provides her a good chance to grow as a human being.
Yeah, I think when people have expectations that are too high and then you get into a relationship and you're not living up to my expectations, well, that's on you.
Yes.
Because you're the one who has the expectations. So you got to fix that. And it's like, I see that and I'm like, oh, I don't like having those expectations on anyone, much less a relationship.
Yeah. And that, oh gosh, that makes me think of my still not yet ex-husband. And he had these expectations of perfection for me. And I told him over and over, I'm like, dude, because he's like, well, you're not meeting my expectation. I'm like, your expectations are jacked up. Okay. You're not meeting my expectations of having a job and not puking all over the place because you're drunk, yeah.
How dare you set such high expectations, Ria?
I know.
What are you thinking?
And in the meantime, not even lived up to someone else's expectations. I'm such a hypocrite. But anyway, not to get too personal, listeners. So Amy, what's your next pick?
Well, I am going to pick Identity Crisis. I have spoken about this many times because this is the one where Geordi was on an away mission with his previous ship and they were experimenting, and then all the people that were on the away mission started dying / disappearing. So they go down and they're investigating, and these people have picked up some kind of bug. And he turns into this glowing, scaly reptile.
Yeah.
I love the effects on that, and the suit that he had to wear, and like seeing the behind the scenes. So amazing. I just love it. I think it's a great idea, and how it's like one by one. So it's this fun mystery, and the girl that that he's working with.
Yeah. Now I'm blanking out on her name too.
I know. I thought it started with an S. Leighton?
Leighton, yes. Suzanne?
Yes. Yeah, I knew it had an S in there. But what I love is the math moment. And I tell everyone every time we talk about Identity Crisis. But when Geordi's at the video camera and projecting it in the holodeck, and it's like, okay, well, what's happening? How did we get that shadow there? Because there's not a light source. What is causing this shadow? And he just investigates and takes it down and strips it and removes the people, and is like, okay, there is somebody there. And it's at that moment that it cracks, and it's like, they are alive and they're here on this planet, and can we save them? And then so it's like this mystery, and then there's this time limit because Geordi is changing himself. And so I just think it's a wonderful episode.
I agree that the effects are amazing, and Jordy in that suit was so cool. Um, the mystery, and I really like how they use the holodeck, to solve the mystery. A couple things that I don't really get are um, I love his relationship with Lighton, but I wish that she had been around sooner or mentioned ever again. And I love that it's not a romantic relationship. You know,
Yes.
anytime I'm always happy anytime I see platonic relationships between men and women, where they can be, you can be friends with another human being without having to physically, consume them. So I love that part of it. I just wish that, again, she was ever brought up again. And then the other thing is, oh, how convenient that they both happen to transform at the same time while they happen to be around the planet. Eh, But yeah, I mean, it's a cool episode, and it's cool when you kind of think about, I don't know, really get into the sci-fi of it. One thing that in my kind of research for this, they actually had the current Miss Universe was in this episode. She was
Really?
a Norwegian actor, and her name is Mona Groot, but she was the first ever Norwegian Miss Universe and ended up in this episode.
That is awesome.
Yes, as Ensign Graham. So I thought that was kind of cool.
No, what you were saying about the platonic relationship between Jordy and Suzanne, I absolutely loved. And the episode did such a good job at building this past that they had together. They had a level of intimacy because of the away missions and time served together. So you still got that intimacy, but it's not your traditional, ooh, I'm falling in love with you intimacy. Like there's different levels of intimacy. You can have intimacy with your best friends and your family, and it doesn't always have to be this sexual relationship, quote unquote.
Yes.
And so we got to see that, and like their back and forth and their knowledge and familiarity was so nice to see. And yeah, it wasn't this relationship, but it didn't have to be. It was perfect the way it was.
Yes, I love it. And I think anyone that's listened to me long enough knows how I feel about all the romantic relationships. Yeah, that was probably my favorite part of this episode. I also really liked when they kind of did the flashback scenes. They actually had the old like season 1, season 2 uniforms, and Jordy had an older version of his visor. So love the attention to detail. And again, kind of the sci-fi aspects. This is how this type of alien reproduces, by kind of hijacking another being. We see it, I know, in Voyager for sure, and see it a couple other times here and there. And, that's kind of a cool sci-fi thing. And math. Who could go wrong?
I know. So yeah, what I show my students, because when we talk about finding the curve of best fit by using data points and then extending it based off of an algorithm or an equation to predict what's going to happen in the future. And that's exactly what Jordy does to ask the computer. It's like, okay, people are walking and then the recording stops. Well, where did those people go? So you have them walking. So like someone's walking in a straight line, and then the computer is like, well, I can extrapolate that, but it will be, I can't remember, like 5% for every second outside of the frame that it's going to be inaccurate.
Right.
All right. So basically 95% accurate for every second after the frame, because we just don't know. But based on their trend, and so that just totally fits into linear regression and predictions and all of that I love talking with my kids about. So it's a great math episode as well.
Yeah.
And something that I can actually teach in my Algebra 2 class. Like I can show them this clip, get them hooked, get them excited, something different. And then we get to teach the math, which I find exciting as well. So it's a good day for Miss Nelson.
Math is exciting. And like, if only it were taught this way, throughout the country and the world, everyone would be doing math, because math is so cool.
It is.
Yes. And not just like, you got my wheels turning now, because basically the position and velocity and momentum of each actor,
exactly.
And you can predict, and then you can retrodict too, to before the video. Oh, cool.
Exactly.
Exciting stuff.
Yes, it is. Oh my gosh. Awesome. All right. Well, let's get to round 3. Ria, one
Okay.
last episode you want to highlight and tell us the good things that you like about it.
Well, I'm going to go with Devil's Due.
Nice.
And this is one that, again, I've had like mixed feelings over the years. There's times I watch it and I love it. There's times I watch it and I'm like, this is stupid. And I think, I had to do some kind of picking apart to see what it was that rubbed me the right way and rubbed me the wrong way about it. I think what rubs me the wrong way is just kind of the implausibility. I mean, this woman really went to great lengths to learn this culture's, mythology and prophecy and all this stuff, and somehow got a hold of the contract and picked through it, just to the finest points, and then had this elaborate transporter setup thing going, and was even able to appear on the Enterprise, and it's just kind of that part.
Are you ruining this for me? Because
Well,
I'm totally agreeing with what you're saying.
That part was a little implausible. But if you take this as a fun episode, which I think it is, it's very original series. Because how many original series episodes were the crew of the Enterprise coming in and debunking a planet's belief in, some type of entity, all-powerful entity. So I thought that was fun. I thought the actor who played, now I can't think of her name.
Ardra.
Oh gosh, she was fun. She was
Oh my gosh.
a
So
really
amazing.
Yes, and she was so confident and so just on top of everything, which was super cool. And then her whole infatuation with Picard, I just love. So it's I've had kind of this weird kind of love-hate relationship with it, but I think in the end, this is a fun one. This is one that I will watch when it's on HNI TV at night. It was, I don't know, it was just a fun episode, and Ardra is an incredible character.
I agree. I watched Cupid, but that was number 11. But like you said, they're the same rating, so... And I enjoyed it a little bit more. I'm not a fan of Vosh, but Devil's Due, I can't even believe, because I've just always loved that episode. It is so fun. And you're right. Like Ardra, she is the confident. She's got everything under control. She's got the, even down to her where she looks, she can control her ship and the shields and the, the tremors and stuff like that. Like, that is a lot of work. You're right. It's an elaborate scheme. And what is she getting out of it?
A planet?
Adoration?
Yeah. A starship?
I mean, is she getting anything tangible, or just knowing that people love and adore her?
Well, I assume she would have access to all of the resources of the planet and all the wealth. Because I imagine she put quite a bit of wealth and resources into her elaborate scheme.
Exactly.
But it makes me think of when I said, it's so implausible that someone would go to that much effort to cheat the system. Well, I just, after 2 years, had an employee that finally is no longer with my agency, and that's what he did. Was he went to such effort to cheat the system and scheme and get out of doing work and just take advantage of every single rule and regulation. And it's like, dude, if you put 5% of that effort into doing your job,
right.
We would all be happier. But no one's happier than me now because he's gone. But that's an interesting point, like the lengths that people will go to cheat the system. But actually, I think there's a thrill of the chase too. She probably enjoyed, I don't know, gaming the system so much and milking that contract and taking advantage of all these people. Well, like this employee who was a total narcissist, loved to manipulate people. And so she probably got some satisfaction from, the adoration, manipulating an entire planet into worshiping her.
Again, this is also a clue who done it? How is she doing it? Because they see the effects and just none of them are like, well, she's not their God. Like none of them went there. They're like, there has to be some scientific reason. What is going on? There's the mystery.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, I always go to this episode of that religion versus science, because I feel that this episode encapsulates what all of TNG is. It's very science-based. We are not going to believe in a God. We are not going to believe in this all-powerful being, even though we've come across quite a few, like Q and, you know, back in season 1, Nagilum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They still, it's not going to become a religion to them. And I think that this episode just sort of in a fun way says, yeah, we're going to trust the science. Welcome to TNG.
And you know, that's actually something that I don't love about it is the way they portray, and I know Gene Roddenberry was an atheist and that's fine, but the way they portray the people of the planet and just kind of in general throughout Star Trek up until you get to Deep Space Nine, but where anyone who believes in a religion is basically narrow-minded, refuses to see the science, and so
or
like
blinded,
yeah, where everyone on this planet is so blinded, you know, that for 1,000 years they've lived in peace and don't even realize that, like in the trial, where Picard says, well, Ardra, did you remove all the weapons and did you clean up the environment? And or no, he says that to the president guy. The president guy's, well, no, we did it and we did it. And
yeah.
Okay, that didn't occur to any of you in the last 1,000 years. So just, I guess I don't like when religious people are always portrayed as naive and, yeah, with blinders on. That kind of gets old. But, that reminds me, too, another thing I love about that episode is Data as the Arbiter. He's so funny. I'm trying to think of some of the lines he said. Yeah, I really think this is a funny episode.
It is.
And when Picard at the end, when Picard is like performing the supernatural tricks and he does the Q thing, snapping his fingers, that's awesome.
It is so good.
But stuff that Data says, I had these quotes here. The advocate will refrain from expressing personal affections for her opponent. The advocate will refrain from making her opponent disappear. You know, I will draw my own conclusions if you do not mind, sir. I just love it.
Yeah, and the costuming and makeup that they do is really good. I mean, we have Feklar and it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Worf.
The effects, you know, the transporter swirly effect thing. Yeah, this is a cute, fun episode.
It is.
So I'm not going to read too much into it anymore. I'll just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, my saved the best for last, and I am going to tell you why I love the loss.
Yep.
Saved it for the last. You know, it doesn't shine a very good light on Troy. I get that. But that's why I love this episode. Because every other time Troy is composed, she knows herself, she, you know, is the rock and people go to her for advice and counsel. And this is the one episode where she needs help. And I love that we get to see that vulnerability because it makes her human. Like everyone's like, oh, everyone's so perfect. Da, da, da. Well, here, Troy is not. She's a bitch. She lost her powers and she doesn't know who she is without her powers. Like this is a huge learning episode for Troy. And I absolutely love, love, love it. I also love the math that just blows my mind away that the 3-dimensional Enterprise is stuck in a 2-dimensional plane and is being like a moth to the flame going into the star. And they can't help but get out because it's 2-dimensional. You can't see if you're 3-dimensional. Anyways, I love the math and just that hierarchy of, okay, we're in 3D and we just drop down to 2-dimensional because we're in this plane. And the same with Troy. Troy's normally at working and operating
Yeah.
at 3 dimensions with her powers,
Mhm.
and she gets dropped down a dimension. And I just love that parallelism about this episode. I will always defend it, and I love watching it. I
Yeah.
love when Jordy's explaining it, that they're caught in this plane, 2-dimensional plane. It just blows my mind every time.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Well, I'm like you. I love math and physics and all that. But I'd never made that connection before that Troy is also going from, her normal, whatever, 5-dimensional being to a
Yeah,
4-dimensional.
she drops down a degree just
Yeah.
as the Enterprise does. Yep.
Because I always think of it when I watch this episode, Troy's losing a sense. Okay, one of her senses. What would you do when you have just lost a sense? I'm not talking about 5 years later when you've come to terms with it. I'm talking about you
The
just
immediate.
lost your sight this week, your hearing, your sense of smell. That would kill me because I'm a bloodhound. I think of it a lot too, when I was a professional baseball umpire. What if I all of a sudden lost my vision, but yet was still expected to umpire?
Right.
And here I think that I do so much based on my vision, which the irony is that I am going blind, and I used to be an umpire. But there's more than just your vision involved, and yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do the job. So it's not a perfect parallel, but she lost a sense that she relied on to do her job. What if, as a teacher, you lost your ability to speak? It might make your job a little more
Yeah.
challenging, but yeah, and I agree with you that they portray her as a person. I'd say a human being, but she's only half human. She's a person with flaws like any one of us, and any one of us losing a sense or losing an ability or losing mobility. Again, I think of my brother having an accident, being paralyzed from the waist down at the age of 23. No one's gonna take that and with a smile on their face. There's an adjustment period. There's that stuff hurts. You have to grieve your loss and go through all the stages of grief just as though you lost a person.
Yeah.
So.
And you're right. We're seeing that immediate reaction. And you're right. It's not 5 years later after she's learned to deal with it. She's having to deal with it right now. And I love that it's Riker that sort of puts her in her place. Like there's, again, that comfort. He really was the only one to do it because of their past relationship. And he's willing to step up and tell her what's up.
And that it was interesting too what he said to her about how you always have the upper hand. And I wonder too if that hasn't been a factor over the years of why they weren't together, where Riker kind of felt that he was at a disadvantage, because she was empathic and he wasn't. And maybe the fact that she lost her empathic abilities and he called it out, maybe that was a step that where Riker was able to deal with it, and
yes,
maybe that was a step
I love
closer to bringing them together.
Exactly, because obviously he was feeling that and had felt that for a long time. Of this, she's got this superiority. She's knows more and about emotions, and she can read me and I can't read her, and yeah, it gives you that upper hand.
Yeah, and he might not have even known that.
Yeah.
That he felt that way.
Exactly. And so he's facing maybe resentment on his side and saying, okay, that's not fair of me to do that because that's something she can't change, and now she's learning to deal with it. And so by having that conversation, you're right. I think it does bring them closer together and understanding each other. I never thought about that.
Me either until now. And to quote the great band Cinderella from 1988, don't know what you got till it's gone.
Oh.
Don't know what it is I did so wrong. Anyway.
Well, overall, Ria, what do you think about season 4?
Season 4 is pretty gosh darn outstanding. And like we were saying in the last quality check episode, these next few seasons are going to be tough ones. I was actually, like you said, surprised to see how some of these episodes were rated. And like I said, there's somewhere, in the past I haven't exactly loved them, but as I rewatch them and dig into them a little bit, I've really come to enjoy. So yeah, we're in the years of TNG where there's a lot of good and there's not a lot of stuff to find fault with.
Absolutely. And I think we chose some amazing episodes, and I'm just like, why are we discussing them on the worst?
Yeah.
Just quality check. And, so we talked about Suddenly Human, The Host, In Theory, Identity Crisis, Devil's Due, and The Lost. Like every single one of them, if it was on TV, I'm watching it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who does these ratings on IMDb? Who rated Half-Life
Right.
bottom 10? That's just nuts.
No. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's so interesting, as you said, like when you rewatch, and we literally had new discussion on this 30-year-old show.
Yes.
It makes me wonder, and the thought just came to me as you were talking about it, like, would I do that with episodes of Discovery?
Oh.
I just don't know. I think season 3 I would, because I'm absolutely loving it. But I think about season 1 and 2 and I'm like, well, would I in 10 years watch Discovery and gain something new like I do with TNG?
I'm so glad you brought that up because, okay, I didn't even know that Discovery was on the air until after the first season because that's just how out of the loop I am as a human being. But it was because of Discovery that I discovered the whole Star Trek podcast community and got involved in, the conventions and everything. Like that really changed my life. But so I watched season 1.
I'd like to think that I have a small part in that.
Oh, a small, huge part. But yeah, I watched season 1 of Discovery before season 2 came out. So season 2 was the first one that I watched live. And I loved, like week to week, I loved it. But then before STLV not 1999, what was last year? 2019.
2019.
Before STLV 2019, I rewatched Discovery season 1 and 2, and it was like pulling teeth to get through it. I didn't enjoy it one bit. But I wonder if down the road, because they were building adding a new wing to the universe. I think things will make more sense. Like actually right now, CBS is showing season 1 on Thursday nights, just on regular on the air.
Regular network. Yeah.
I've been catching a few of those as they air. I don't know, for some reason it's more fun to me to watch stuff that someone else decided to put on TV than to actually make a decision as to what to stream. And I'm enjoying it more now that I'm having the fuller picture, I think. And I think, like TNG, when season 1 and 2 first aired, they were rough. But now that we have not just the next 5 seasons and 4 movies, but 30 years of world building, season 1 and 2 are a lot more enjoyable.
Yes.
Now that we have the full picture. So I'm glad you said that. I will probably still pick on Discovery because I got to pick on something, but I'll keep an open mind. So.
Well, we'll have to report in 10 years how we're doing with Discovery.
Sounds like a plan. New podcast in 10 years. It'll be the decade after rewatch.
Incoming transmission.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's show and hope you'll join the Facebook group Federation Council Chambers. You're welcome to start conversations with us or add any general Star Trek info you want to share with the group.
If you'd like to send us an email, you can email the network at contact@ufp.earth. Again, that is contact@ufp.earth. Email us, and we might read your email on the show.
Please hit the subscribe button on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a star rating and written review. That helps others to find our show. You can also follow the entire network's podcast with our master feed by searching United Federation of Podcasts. This way, you won't miss any of our fine shows like All Good Things, Franchise Fatigue, Always Hold On to Arrow, General Quarters, Mickey's Marvels, Infinite Diversity, and Trek Pod. So, Ria, where can people find you when you... Oh, what did Jono do to call? And he did that...
Yeah, that howling thing.
That Ekbar or something. Or no, that was the dad's name or something. What are you... So yes. So Ria, where can people find you when you're not making the whoo sound from Suddenly Human?
When I'm not making the hoo sound, I will be gargling honey and cough drops because my throat will be sore. I'll be outside putting Christmas lights up because it's going to be decent today. But otherwise, you can find me on the Federation Council Chambers on Facebook. You can also send me an email at contact@ufp.earth. I would love to get your emails, and we'll read them on the show. That is about it for my online presence, since I'm kind of a packlid that doesn't kill people. But Amy, when you are not posing as an omnipotent being in order to gain the allegiance of an entire planet, where can people find you?
Well, how about just gain the allegiance of every student?
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I'd be down for that. Might have
Make the
to
earth shake a little.
Yes, do your homework. Well, you can find me here on the network where I do host All Good Things. You can also find me hosting Union Federation podcast, which talks about Discovery and the Orville. You can find me on Twitter at Miss Amy Nelson, and of course, right there in the Federation Council chambers.
Priority 1 message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
If you'd like to help us keep all our shows coming to you each week, you can become a patron of the network on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/UFPEarth. That's patreon.com/UFPEarth to get all the details. And this month, we're going to try and have 2 patron roundtable discussions. So join us there. I'm going to be hosting one of them. So get on board.
We would like to recognize our executive producers, Brandon Shea Mutala, Ken Tripp, Zach Moore, and Tony Robinson. We would also like to thank Zach Tripp, no relation to Zach Moore, but is a relation to Ken Tripp, for our opening and closing music, and the amazing Tony Robinson for our stunningly gorgeous artwork.
Thank you for beaming aboard Galaxy Class, and until next time,
the Advocate will refrain from making her opponent disappear.
Great joy and gratitude.
Engage.
This has been a production of MTMR Media Works.